Some lawmakers have called for the declassifying and release of government information about UFOs. But this push for more government transparency remains an uphill battle. So joining me now is Republican Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee. He's one of Capitol Hill's louder voices for increased government transparency around UFOs. And Garrett Graff. He's author of a brand new book, UFO, the inside story of the U.S. government's search for alien life here and out there. Welcome to both of you. Garrett, let me start with you. You spent a couple of years researching the government's history with UFOs, something the congressman's been trying to get the government to be more transparent about. So let me start with you. What is one thing you've learned about UFOs that the public doesn't know about?
Well, I think there are a couple of things that stand out for me right at the top here. The first, as you covered in some of the previous segment, that there is something real here. There are things out there in our airspace that we do not understand what they are, and that those could represent exquisite new adversary technology, but they could also represent science that we don't understand, atmospheric, meteorological, and astronomical science that we don't yet understand. And that I believe that the government is covering up some level of its knowledge and understanding about what some of those things are, both in terms of what chunk of that is our government's own secret development programs, planes, drones, new technologies that we're working on, as well as what we're sensing and detecting of advanced adversary technology being tested against U.S. forces or around U.S. airspace. What I'm unconvinced of is that the government is covering up meaningful knowledge of, alien spacecraft, alien visitors, extraterrestrial contact. I just don't see the extraordinary evidence or the fingers of the cover-up that one would expect if that was, in fact, the case.
What do you make of the newfound interest? It appears that government is being a tad more public. Is this an acknowledgement? Maybe they need the scientific community's help?
Yes, and I think part of the shame of this, and I think that this is part of where the congressman agrees on as well, the government should be more interested in this than it has turned out to be over recent years. And I think part of what you have seen is this shift since 2017 that serious people are talking seriously about this in national security circles in Washington and on Capitol Hill. Congressman,
you've pushed this issue a little bit. Curious why? What got you started on this issue?
Transparency. Since 1947, they've told us these things don't exist, yet Harry Reid funded, very well funded, millions of dollars towards research of it. And they spend a whole heck of a lot of time, effort, and money on telling the American public they don't exist, but yet they're studying. Case in point, I proposed an amendment to the FAA reauthorization bill, and it basically just said if a commercial airline pilot were to spot some anomaly, or UFO as we used to call them, and they would issue a report to the FAA, which they would, but also that report would be made to Congress.
Sure.
Well, it was blocked. The whip told me that it was blocked, and I said, "Why was it blocked?" He said, "The intelligence community blocked it." And I said, "Wait a minute, you mean the committee?" And he said, "No, the community."
What does that mean? Because look, I've been in Washington a long time, and probably too long, some people might say, but no.
You're still a young man.
There's a part of me that says, well, this is just what the intel community, even if they don't know something, they're afraid of admitting what they don't know. How much of this stonewall is that, do you think?
I think there's quite a bit of arrogance, but there's also a compartmentalization. You got to realize I'm from Knoxville. Oak Ridge National Lab backs up to my back door.
Right. You're well aware of national security issues.
I am. You figured during the atomic bomb, several thousand people worked there, yet maybe 12 knew about what they were actually working. I mean, husbands and wives didn't know. I've talked to several people in my campaigning, knocking on doors. You know, they tell you that they didn't know that their wife was working on the fuse and they were working on an electrical component of the bomb. But you fast forward now. We have these committees. We had Intelligence Committee had their first open committee last year on this issue. And they brought in 2 people that were supposed to be overseeing it, I guess, for the Pentagon. Those guys couldn't even spell UFO. I mean, they had no knowledge, and it's just infuriating to me. We're spending billions of dollars. We give the Pentagon billions of dollars, They cannot account for 50% of their assets. And what do? We rewarded them with, I think, 20 or 40 billion new dollars this year.
Let me ask you this. You've said that this is a worldwide phenomenon, and we know there are multiple militaries. What would an international investigation look like on this? How could because it certainly would help the scientific community.
I think so, but I think the scientific community is kept out. And when they're brought in, it's just for dollars. Right now, because of people like yourself and NBC and others in the national media are putting this out because they realize over 55% of the people believe there's something else out there. I have a T-shirt I sell on my website. More people believe in UFOs than believe in Congress. I mean, it's the truth, brother. You and I both know it, and that's why they don't come to Washington, because there's no intelligent life down here. But it's just, if it doesn't exist, then why do they keep spending the money to tell us? And is it Russia? I don't think so. They wouldn't be bogged down in Ukraine. If it's China, they'd own us even more. And if it's us, why have we had 14 documented near misses with $50 million aircraft and some of the best trained pilots in the world?
Garrett, have you uncovered, who are the world's leading experts at trying to provide some explanations to what folks are seeing?
Well, there are people who are working on exactly the question that you just started to touch on, which is, what would a serious hunt for UFOs and UAPs actually look like? And a big part of it, which you saw come up in this summer's congressional hearings as well, is the need to move away from human witnesses, who are just terrible witnesses, as anyone who
crime scenes.
Any police officer
we know this about this.
Investigated a crime scene or a car accident knows, and move to something that's more sensor-based and instrument-based. And so along those lines, there's a project called the Galileo Project, which is led by the chair of the Harvard Astronomy Department, Avi Loeb, who has built this fall the first UAP observatory on the roof of the Harvard Astronomy Building in Cambridge, that is trying to better understand, what's up there on a daily basis. Because part of the challenge of identifying what's anomalous is understanding better what is normal. And we don't even have a particularly good baseline of understanding what's up in the sky on a normal basis, which you saw in this winter's Chinese spy balloon flap, where, it turns out if you set the NORAD radar slightly differently, we start turning up a lot of weather balloons that we panic and then send up the world's most advanced fighter to shoot down with a $250,000 missile, something that turns out to be a weather balloon from the Northern Illinois Balloon Brigade Meteorology Club.
Garrett, how come NASA doesn't find anything with satellites before it enters our atmosphere?
Well, so some of this is also, part of what is fascinating about the science of this is extraterrestrial craft could be passing all around us all of the time, and we don't have the technology adequate to notice that effectively any civilization that would have mastered interstellar travel would probably be moving at a fraction of the speed of light. We don't have effectively any technology that would notice something moving at the fraction of the speed of light through our own solar system that was smaller than a football field.
So, Congressman, let's play the logic game here. If there is an alien life that comes here, they're more advanced than we are.
Sure.
It's a scary proposition, right?
Travel light years.
Exactly. So how should this be viewed? How should government prepare? And is this worth the money to prepare to deal with something like this?
I don't know about preparing. It's just being transparent. The vastness of God's great universe. Every night I go out and look at the stars, and the light from those stars literally left there before the time of Christ.
Right.
And some of those stars don't even exist anymore. If we're dealing with some technology that can fly these light years at these incredible speeds, if they wanted to do us in, they'd have already done it. And I just think we are trying to overprotect our public, and our public wants to know what's going on.
Are there more ways you can tie the hands of the Pentagon to be more transparent?
Yeah, if we had more people in Congress with some guts.
I feel like this bipartisan caucus is growing.
Yeah, my buddy Jared Moskowitz, he's there, and it's Republican and Democrat. It's not a bipartisan situation. Not on this one. We know the Pentagon has got their hands in this, and we just want to. The American public needs to know.
Congressman Tim Burchett, Republican from Tennessee. Garrett Graff with his terrific new book. Garrett, man, You have some great selections in books that you write. This is a terrific topic as well. Thank you, sir. Congrats.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.